Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Beyond the Coach podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Kelsey Nanini.
And I am Chris Sweet.
And today we're going to talk about if you're new to online coaching, what is the 411? What needs to be the focus? But we're going to talk about all kinds of things encompassing this. So, systems, mindset, things to know when you're first starting out, mistakes you might be making or you should avoid making, mistakes even we made, and the right things to focus on. Because I think when you're starting a business, it's exciting and it's also really freaking scary. So we just want to bring light to all of that and, help you through your mindset of what all this looks like. So, you want to start us off, Chris?
Yeah, I feel like online coaches, they've got the passion and they've taken the certifications and they're so hyped, so excited. They probably follow other online coaches that they're like, oh, I cannot wait to be this level or be this person. But I think there's definitely that thought of where the hell do I even start or how do I do this? Because it's intimidating enough to open up the app of Instagram and to put your face out there and to make content. So I'm excited because I feel like this will be a good roadmap to just help people avoid the noise and to just simplify what they really need to focus on and to actually make progress and to get moving on stuff. So I think to kick it off, it's really starting with the number one mistake that I personally see too as a business coach even is these new coaches that come in and they think they need to have the website and the logo and this perfect curated Instagram feed before they're able to take a client. They're like, I need to do this. Or before they even have the thought of taking even more than a few clients. And I feel like that's really backwards because I don't feel that you can build a brand without knowing your coaching, or knowing your clientele or diving into that. And there's a very big difference between the brand aesthetics itself and then the value that you actually deliver to clients. You could have a great brand, but your delivery could kind of suck or vice versa. There's definitely two things that need to be worked on. And then I think that clarity and learning how to coach comes from coaching, not just planning and ideating on it and sitting on it and thinking of all these ideas. And I know so many coaches that, sign up for business coaching. They're like, I have my offer, my pricing and all this. And I'm like, cool. Why didn't we get started from the get-go? Well, I need this as well. And this and this and this. And I need to fill out this worksheet. And I need this, freebie and this to be on my Instagram. You literally don't. Guys, if you went back to we've talked about this before, if you were to go in the archives of my Instagram, you would find me during COVID working out with wine bottles and doing a wine bottle workout. You don't need to have a perfect aesthetic brand. My brand certainly is not me working out with wine bottles today, but it was content. It was just getting shit up because we needed to. But I just see that mistake just being a big one with coaches of hyper fixating on the aesthetics of a brand or all these fancy schmancy things when really you running a business is your ability to serve and deliver your clients, not having a website.
Yeah. It's like you feeling like you need all of those things from the get-go it's almost like you're trying to start think about you wanting all those things without having it the confidence in coaching and knowing what your offer is first, to just coaching first. It's kind of like the dentist that just sent on a bunch of mailers to get new patients in, but they don't even have a chair for the patient to sit in. And so I think it's really just thinking about what are the basics you need to get started. Well, what you need is a really good offer. You just need to be a really good coach. And the thing is, initially, that's going to get you clients anyway. I've always been a person where it's like, hey, if I just provide a really good service, people are going to talk about me. People are going to tell their friends, are going to tell their family. And that's a big thing. If you provide a good service, you have a referral network. And that is going to get you off the ground more than trying to build the perfect aesthetic Instagram and all that. Yes, it's obviously helpful to be on social media. And if you're not, you're doing your online business a disservice. However, it doesn't mean everything needs to be perfect. If you went back to my social media, I started my Instagram in 2016. It was not good. It was just for fun at that point. But it was not aesthetic. So
you certainly did not have a vision of what it was going to be.
I was just posting to post. That was back when you could just literally post. There was no reels. Back in my day, there was no such thing as reels. What did reels come in 2019?
They came right before COVID, I feel like.
Yeah. Which thank God. Like, how would
Because
we
it was like
survive
the
doing
rise
that?
of TikTok too. Like
Yep.
TikTok was on the rise, Reels came up, and
Yeah.
suddenly like Instagram and TikTok were kind of in this like weird competition with each other.
Oh my gosh, you'd swipe through videos. It was all swipe
Mhm.
through videos.
Oh my
And like
God,
that was what
yes.
I did. Like, what the hell was I doing? But yeah, so I think really just starting with your product and not perfecting it, but making sure you have a really good product and service first.
Yeah.
And then you can worry about the website, all that stuff later down the road. You don't even, I mean, I
Even
think
like,
having a website's helpful, but not immediately.
but I think even like create a link tree with links in there
Hmm.
as a starting place. And yeah, I love a good website for sure, but it's just not necessary. And they're very expensive in the beginning of
Yep.
doing it. And I've seen so many coaches too get hung up on business names. They're like, what should I name my program? What should I name my business? And the reason they're not getting clients in is because they're so fixated on needing to have this establishment. And a term that I've used with some of my clients is like, you can build the castle later, but right now we just need to put up the tent. Like, we just need to camp out for a second, get our grounding, allow the foundation to then be built. Because a lot of the coaches that you are also looking up to, us included, is like we built tents. We put these little tents up and they were not stable by any means. They had no strategy, structure, nothing, but it allowed us to build up to something that we wanted. And it wasn't without building the tents that I personally got to understand what I wanted to do long term. Like 5 years ago, I didn't know that this was going to be the vision or where I'd be sitting today. So it takes that messy action in a way, but not messy action in the sense of like build a website and just get it up there. It's just start bringing people into your program and start posting and start doing the basics. And I think just creating a little simplified checklist for yourself is going to go a long way of, hey, what is the offer? And just start with one offer. Don't be like creating this huge offer suite of, well, I want to have fitness and nutrition, and then I'm going to have an add-on service for monthly calls, and if they want weekly calls, and if they want, listen, guys, dream big. I'm here for it, but I am going to humble you really fast of like, it's not sexy to have all these offers. It's actually very confusing, and it's going to confuse you as well. And it's going to confuse your audience, and you're going to have no idea what the heck you're doing on sales calls or what you're selling people into. You're going to over deliver and probably under deliver at some moments, right? Or just kind of like under promise that. And I think that that can be really hard for a transition, but I would say like, hey, just start with one offer: fitness and nutrition coaching, the basics, weekly check-ins via a form. If you want to have touch points with your clients to get a little bit of feedback, do a monthly call with them to get started and integrate that. Have one way of communicating of, hey, I do my communication via Slack or WhatsApp or Everfit, wherever you may be. Have one way of tracking clients and KPIs. Have one way of showing up online instead of 12 different ways. You don't need to try all the platforms and do all the things. It's truly centering into one. And if you guys are listening to this and you have 12 ideas, pick one and build that before you're suddenly building all the other things that you want to do.
Yeah, for sure. I think a real big positive when we're talking from the business side of things is there's not a lot of overhead in online coaching, which is really, really cool. And that means like you're not a normal business that is essentially getting into debt first in order to build a business, right? Like that's a positive. And in some cases, that's necessary in a business. You know, you think about restaurants, you think about any like brick and mortar place, you technically are in debt before you're creating income for yourself. However, with online coaching, it's a really cool thing where like you don't have to do that. You don't have to have all the bells and whistles for starting out. Like, yes, get Everfit. The cool part is whatever system you use is free up to like 5 clients.
Yep.
So by the time you're actually making money, which I think is a really cool thing these platforms offer, you now have the funds to be able to pay for these things. Start simple. Like, okay, when I first started online coaching, I was going off of what my first online coach did. We did email check-in. She would send a voicemail back via email.
Mm-hmm.
And then all my programs were a Google Sheet.
Yep.
She had zero overhead. She was just racking in dough with no over, like, I don't even know what you would have paid for at that point. Maybe a MailChimp. I don't even know. Um, and so I think that's a really cool part about online coaching is like, you don't have to have all these things at first. So like, that's one of my pieces of advice for you if you're starting out is like, don't get yourself into unnecessary debt in coaching, like just to start a business in online coaching. Keep it so simple. The thing is, clients aren't coming to you for your beautiful aesthetic, whatever it is, programs, whatever. They're coming to you for you. And so you just have to provide that really great service, be a really, really great coach, provide really great touch points, and like be there for them. And you'll grow from there. But like constantly needing to perfect things, constantly changing things also for your clients gets really confusing. So just find things that work in the beginning and roll with it. And until it becomes a problem, you don't need to change it. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, you need to like start coaching before you really think you're ready. And I love that you said I was just thinking of the objections I hear from coaches of why they won't launch their business or why they won't post. And they're like, oh, well, it never is it actually money. Like no objection is money of, oh, I need to like buy this thing. A lot of times it's the capacity of, because, well, they do overcomplicate it by then going and wanting to spend all this money or thinking that they need to spend all this money on stuff. But then they think like, well, it's time and it's this and it's this and it's this. And I guarantee if I did a time audit on any of your days, I'd probably see gaps in there where you can go online for an hour and make a post and get on your story. It's like this, to me, posting is second nature now. It's just a part of my job. And it genuinely doesn't take a lot of time. I get in the beginning, you're going to be overthinking it. You're going to have this imposter syndrome. You're going to think everyone's, looking at me, thinking of me, thinking badly. That's not what it is. But the only way to work through that is to literally do it. I talk about this in health and fitness as well of like, hey, if you are in a challenging season or you have low motivation, the only way to make that easier is to actually do it when it's low motivation, to actually do it when you don't want to show up. Because otherwise you're never going to do it. You're going to be like ghosting your business at times, ghosting your clients at times. You're going to come back in, then you're going to go out, and you can't let your own motivation be a reflection of your business. And I got into coaching to be a coach. Like when I got into the online world, I didn't get into it to categorize myself as a business owner. I knew nothing about business. I did not take a single business class. I came from a psychology background. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And that's just a reminder, like you're going to learn to coach by coaching, and you're going to learn to be a business owner by proxy of that. Like you're not going to go get a business degree. You're not going to learn how to do it all. And this is why obviously mentors exist. And that's really helpful. And a piece of advice I would give is probably within your first year of getting up off your feet, like do go hire a mentor, do go take like mini courses or something to just kind of help lay out and organize for you, things along those lines. But you're never going to learn to be a business owner if you don't start coaching at the forefront of that said business that you want to create.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like doing the thing. I think a lot of times when you're starting out a business with coaching, you're like worried about all the wrong things. It's like, okay, I need to be posting every day, but it's like, if you're posting every day, is it actually productive things?
Yeah.
Right? Like just posting, I'm sorry, I think that the March dumps, photo dumps, those are fun, right? It's showing that you're a human, but that's not getting you clients.
No.
Posting 3 tips to hit better protein at this point in time, that is not getting you clients. And so if you're going to be posting, make it productive. But in that time, like you said, like just coach however you need to do it. It's like you just have to be getting in front of more people. And I think something that I had to do was like really get outside of the box, right? And I think at this point in time, there's a lot of people on Instagram. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like there's not a ton of coaches out on Instagram. It's not, what's the word I'm trying to think of? It's not like, there's too many people in it.
Oh, frick,
Pregnancy
man.
brand.
Oh my God. I know the word. It's on and anybody listening probably knows the word too.
You idiots. It's this.
It's this. It's not,
the saturated. The industry is not saturated.
I was going to say curated. It's not curated.
It should be curated.
It should be better curated.
I hate that term. I hate that term when people are starting out. And I fell victim to it for sure. I used to use that as an excuse. But let me be clear when I say the industry is not saturated. Now, it is saturated with poor coaching for sure, because the people who are just posting the trendy content, they're growing. They have hundreds of thousands of followers, and now they're bringing people in. In fact, I saw a post the other day from a like pelvic floor PT who went on a rant about a person who had 116,000 followers and was posting how to lose body fat during pregnancy. And she was like, this person has 116,000 followers, and people are listening to what she has to say, when in reality, oh my God. Did you see my cat?
Did your cat just jump up? Did she scare you?
She was there the whole time. I just didn't think she was going to jump on me.
Oh, sweet girl.
My sweet girl. But that's the thing that Instagram's saturated with, right? But the really big thing, and I think jumping into like a mindset piece for you as a coach when you're first starting out, is you just can't compare yourself to other coaches and other influencers and all of that. I'm sorry, homegirl, but you're distracting. Is you can't play that comparison game. We actually had to talk about this last night on our first cohort call. One of the coaches coming on was like, hey, I'm really dealing with like the issue of comparison. And I loved what you had said. You were like, hey, before we even like get into any tips, tricks to help with this, like if you've ever dealt with comparison, can you raise your hand? And literally like everyone on the Zoom raised their hand. We've all been there. But when you're first starting on a business, you can't play the comparison game, because here's the thing is, comparison isn't like the comparison's the thief of joy. And I think in this case, it's like comparison is the thief of success in coaching. Like if you are going to compare yourself to, let's say Chris and I, who have been in business for 6 years plus, right? You're never going to get anywhere, because you're like, well, why can't I just, have that amount of clients? Why can't I be making even 5K a month, right? Like you want to be to these certain amounts, and you're like, oh, this person in my business coaching is making this amount. If you are, of course, in a business coaching, like Chris said, I would rather you get your feet wet, figure your like offer out before even diving into that. But it's helpful, right? But I think one of the big mistakes I made when first starting out was when I did start business coaching. It was really like 2 years into actually trying to do the online thing, and I was just stuck at like, however much income per month. But I got on these calls and I was like, oh my gosh, I got on my first, initial mentorship calls, and I'm like, oh, well, they're making, 10K a month. And like, I know way more than they do. Like, how am I not making that amount? Or I would just be so intimidated by them. Like, oh my gosh, they're making, X amount, or they're bringing in a client a week. Like, how are they doing that? And like, just getting so like bogged down in like comparison. And given, I think that was also just the environment I was in within business coaching. And that's where like finding a mentor that's right for you and doesn't put you in that position is huge. And I will say with WWBA, I've never felt that in the mastermind at the very least. But maybe that also goes along with the fact that I've done a lot of that work and having to figure that out. But I think just putting yourself in a room with more supportive people is also important. But just like really stay away from comparison as much as you can. We're human, right? It's going to happen. But one of the biggest tips I gave last night on the call was like, if you find yourself comparing when somebody shares a win, hype them up, because nothing is better than like being, and I even have a hard time with this too, but like hype them up, because it's going to feel so good to put a positive spin on something where you're having a negative thought towards it.
Yeah. I was going to even say like reframing almost like what comparison is. Comparison, you kind of get, it's like a fight or flight type of feeling. It's like you're either going to be able to keep going and, potentially use it as motivation, which I'll get to in a second. Or what most people do is they let it hide. When I first started business coaching, being in a business mentorship, I should say, I was in a room with a lot of sharks. There was a lot of sharks, and I was the little minnow. I was like little Chris, just trying to make like a few $1,000s. Had no idea that there was potential to make like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, anything. And when I was in this kind of sharky environment, it was so easy. And I definitely fell into moments where I was comparing. I fell into so many moments of like, gosh, I'm with all these people and all these big personalities and all these big businesses. Like, who am I to even try to start a business when these people are already up here and they already have everything settled? But I actually, after probably being in that mentorship for a few months, I really started working on my mindset. And I actually started using that comparison as fuel of, how cool is it that I get to be in a room with all these people who are actually above me? Like, and I said this last night too, I fully believe like you are a reflection of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with. And that's going to show like productivity in business. It's going to show how you treat your health and your fitness and your body, your relationships, all these things. It was really cool as a kind of the first time in entrepreneurship for me, where I was in a room with people who are all above me. And I suddenly looked at it as, I'm going to be the equivalent of the people I spend the most amount of time with. So if I can look at this mentorship as that very thing where I am with all these big performers, I'm going to start to rise too. And lo and behold, once I really switched my mindset, I put that energy into me versus putting that energy into other people and comparing myself to other people. And I quickly did scale after that. Like, it's just that reframe, and it's so much easier said than done. But even to this day, when I look at people who are doing well, there's definitely moments where I'm like, gosh, I want to be there. I have some really badass friends, first off. Like, I'm very proud of them and they're really fucking cool. And I love to see them win. But there's always going to be that feeling of, gosh, I wish I was there too, or I wish I was doing that, or I wish I was at that point. But yes, hyping them up and then looking at it as, how cool is it that I get to surround myself with these people who continuously are in a way above me, and I get to put myself in that environment of letting that help me rise and affecting my work ethic to be better and faster and more aggressive and a little sharky at times, and allowing myself to be a better coach, and just the environments we get to create. And that's what I said to the cohort last night, is like, you get to be in this room, this call with these coaches. Start rising with them and start using it as this motivation of like, gosh, the people I'm going to surround myself the most with for these next 16 weeks are going to be the example that's going to help me work harder and help me get to the point where I want to be too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you really shift that mindset of like comparing yourself and then actually just being like, dude, they're no different than me. Like, I could also be there if I really put my mind to it and had the right strategy and stayed patient. It wasn't just like, I need that right now.
Yep.
Something that Kaden and I were talking about the other day was, I was reflecting on business coaching. And it's funny you're talking about this. We were just talking about like people in his industry. He's a loan officer. And so obviously has a lot of friends that are loan officers as well. And, you know, with business as well, there's people I think of from my first mentorship that I'm like, they're not even in the industry anymore. But those were the same people who I was comparing myself to initially getting in. And they're the same people who burnt out. And what I noticed was, for me, yes, I've been on the brink of burnout many, many times in my career. I think it's silly to assume that you would never be burnt out, right? Like, it's gonna happen. We're human. But the people I've found that are burnt out are just, you know, not, they're, what's the word I'm trying, like, they're just like spinning their wheels. They're trying to get new clients. They're the same people that didn't have from the start coaching for the right reasons. I think there's a lot of people who have, and let me be clear, getting into business for yourself is obviously one of the big pieces of it is a financial gain. Yes. Like, owning a business is very, very rewarding in many, many ways. One of those being like your finances. Like, you have kind of, you don't have a ceiling. It's awesome. We talk about that all the time about like, we could never go back to W-2 because we love not having a ceiling, and it's so fun. There's also a lot of pieces to that.
It's hard. And it's entrepreneurship, getting into online coaching, you have to be a little selfish. Like, you have to be selfish with your time, with your energy, with your capacity, with your boundaries. And that also goes into like that imposter syndrome and, you know, the comparison you're going to have and the noise you're going to have from even your closest friends and family. Like, it's going to happen. Yep. But I also always say this, like, you are the only one who lives in your body. And in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you are going to be a reflection of the action you took when you were younger. And people always say, because obviously I'm 28, I'm a wee little baby, but everyone I meet is like, gosh, I thought you were in your 30s. And it's simply because of how I present myself, of this mindset of like, hey, the person I'm going to be in 10, 20, 30 years is a reflection of me now. And I either get to maximize the fact that, yeah, I'm a wee little baby, but like, I work with people who are old. Like, I have clients that are much older than me. And it's just that authority that you get to build and that confidence that you build when you push that imposter syndrome aside and that comparison aside of like, who am I to be coaching these people at 28 years old? It's like, why not? Why not be the person to be coaching these people? So when you're getting that noise from outside external factors and people, it's like, versus thinking, gosh, they're so right. Like, who am I to do this? It's like, well, why not? Why am I not the person to do this? Like, what, like, there's other people that are not as smart as me. There's other people that are not as strong as me, not as this, and this as me, that are doing the very thing I want to do, but yet I'm here still.
Yeah, for sure. And I think at the end of the day, it just boils down to like being being a coach in general, being a personal trainer, being a registered dietitian, being an online coach, whatever it is in that realm that you are, or all the above. our jobs are so much different in the sense that like you have to build a job off, you have to build this business off of passion, and you have to actually care, because you have a due diligence, you're in charge of people's life. If you make a misstep in coaching, and this is the most stressful part about coaching, and I don't say this to stress you out, I actually say this to you to almost like bring you to a higher level of coaching and to keep that passion in, because one misstep, you could screw somebody up for years. Like you could screw up their relationship with food, you could screw up their exercise, all these things. Like it's really, really important to keep in mind, like continuing to educate yourself and continuing to, you know, care deeply about your clients and putting your education first. Like all those things are so brutally important. The reason I say that is because, like I was saying with the mentorship, the people who I knew were getting into it more so for the money and were getting kind of greedy, and they were like sharky, right? They're the people who aren't in coaching anymore. They're the people who burnt out because they weren't coaching for the right reasons. And that's where coaching is, just like I said, such a different business, because you, at the end of the day, you have to be passionate about it, because when you're not, then the smallest things that clients do tick you off, and you start to become more of the reactive coach versus the like caring coach that's authoritative and doing all those things, right? Like it's just a lot easier to burn out when you come at it from just getting into it for the income and just getting into it for the money. So if that's one like piece of advice I could give you, is if you're getting into this business solely because you see Sally squats a lot on Instagram, like showing her ass off and making a fuck ton of money, driving a Bentley, and that's why you're getting into this, like please reconsider, because at the end of the day, it's like a recipe for disaster if you aren't truly passionate about like helping people. I think that when that stays at the core of why you're doing coaching, you're just going to have so much more success. And it's something that I know I've held myself to like deeply to my core. It's always been clients first and like caring first. And I promise you that when you do that above hitting KPIs, and obviously those things are important, you're running a business at the end of the day, but when you keep caring through your clients, and I know Chris has been the same way as well, like it's going to take you so much further.
Absolutely. And I think then kind of transitioning the conversation a little bit to give a little more strategy to you guys of like, well, how do you even get your first clients? How do you even start that process? Like, okay, so you're new to online coaching, like where the hell do you even start? And depending on your background and where you came from, like it's very different than in-person training. It's very different than working within a gym or having a network, even if you're like a group fitness trainer too, and having a network of people. I always suggest like have a beta round of people, like have a beta round, and Kelsey alluded to it earlier, of like referrals and building something where people, like you have such a great reputation that people are going to recommend people to your program, and you suddenly have this lead gen system that almost hacks the system than what most people are doing. Like none of us love sending the DMs and doing all of that. It's a part of it. It's a part of outreach. It's a part of sales, but you also get to create this really cool retainer where you build such a great reputation, and that is going to create its own lead gen system. So, you know, have your friend, offer it to your friends and family, right? And they may not be the people you necessarily want to coach, but start somewhere, because it's always something over nothing. And I can make so many comparisons of starting your business similarly to how we all started our fitness journey at one point, and how, hey, we didn't always love what we were doing, but we were there and we were checking the box and we were growing and learning. Like there are things that I had to learn in my fitness journey that I was doing once upon a time that I don't do now. And you're going to have these people that you're working with in the beginning that may not be fully who you want to work with, but it's something, and it's getting that foot in the door the same way you had to get your foot in the door with fitness. And if you sit there, and I'm just going to kind of be a hard ass here for a second because I've just seen so many coaches do it, but if you're like, well, I don't like posting on social media, well, I don't want to coach that person, well, I don't want this and this and this, respectfully, you're gonna sink. Like you will sink in this industry if that is your mindset going into it. If you want to be an online coach, you have to post on social media. You just do. But again, you don't have to post the perfect carousels, Canva carousels to get clients. Like that's not what's going to work. But you have to be willing to show your face on social media. You have to be willing to work with people that you don't necessarily want to work with at the beginning. And you kind of have to do some shit that you don't want to do. It's the same related to health and fitness. I don't love tracking my macros all the time, or there's definitely weeks where I'm like, gosh, I'd rather not get into the gym today. But you do it because you know that there's a greater purpose towards it. And that comes with also any career, there's very much this over glamorized version of online coaching from, I think, the business coaching front, that, you know, business coaches will show this client making $10,000 in 3 months and all this stuff. You're glamorizing that end product, and online coaching simply is not instant gratification. It's just not what's going to also help you be in the alluding to also what Kelsey said earlier, like, oh, because you're making more money doesn't mean you're going to stay in this for long, like if that's your main focus. So just kind of the things that I hear, the objections I hear from coaches, it's like, okay, well, if you don't want to do that, someone else is going to. Like, if you don't want to post on social media, I'm going to go post on social media and I'll go get some clients. Like, I'm going to be growing my business while you're focusing on all the reasons why you can't or shouldn't, or whatever mindset you're working with too. So yeah, that's my little TED talk there.
Little pep talk. And yeah, we kind of talked about this on the call last night too. Well, you did. I was diligently listening. One of the questions was like, hey, how do you stay authoritative? And this is something we've talked about too within the cohort in the past. How do you stay authoritative? How do you separate friends and family from coach, right? And something you have to do is just put your foot down and be like, hey, like, I am Coach Kelsey right now. Coaching friends and family is not easy by any means, because they've probably had a glass of wine with you, probably had a few drinks with you, they've had the fun nights with you, they've had a good time, they've seen you not as Coach Kelsey or Coach Chris, right? Like, they've seen you as just a human. And given I try to show my personality, like, I've gotten drinks with clients. We've, you know, not, I haven't partied with clients, but like, I've had I'm friends with clients and it's fun. And but the thing is, you have to know how to separate that. And so Chris came up with something really good, is like, hey, when you're coaching a client, when you're coaching a friend, it's like, you can text me for personal things, but if it is related to coaching, it is in the app and Everfit. And something that Chris and I have had to learn over time is boundaries. Any coach who is still just texting their clients, please change that. There's no excuse for it. Like, I'm sorry, but like, at this point, I don't care who you are. I don't care how long you've been coaching. Set the standard from the beginning, or set it now, that you don't text clients, because the thing is, your messages get flooded. You're overwhelmed because you have a text from your aunt, and then you also have a text from your client, and then you also have a text from your friend, and it's like, your text messages are for your life. Everfit, Trainerize, WhatsApp, whatever it is that you utilize is for your clients, and separating that is like huge. I think also just having the conversation with your client when they're struggling to stay consistent is like, because we've had people who are like, hey, my friend just isn't doing anything, but they'll always thank me for helping them. And it's like, well, yeah, because they don't see you as an authority. And so what you have to do in starting someone out from the get-go, and even if you didn't do this from the get-go, you need to reestablish like the standard is like, hey, I am not your friend right now. I am your coach, and like, we just have to find a way to separate that. So I want you to like trust me. I want you to respect me as your coach. And then when we're hanging out, when we're going out for margaritas and chips and salsa, like, that is the time where we can be chill friends and have a good time and separate this. But like, if you hired me for a reason, and that's the other thing is like, don't take them on for free, because they will just abuse the system and like, they won't take it seriously. That's the thing is like, we want to just like we want to do the homie hookup, right? I think it's actually like disrespectful for your friends to expect not to pay you, or family, right? So take them on, make them pay even a small fee. Maybe it's not full price, but especially when you're starting out, like, have the beta testing group that's cheaper, but make them pay, because they're going to care a lot more when it's coming out of their bank account. And it's not a disrespect thing. This is your business. So.
And I also think, to that point, like, you don't want to build resentment towards your friends and family. And I think if they're not paying and you're doing it for free, and they're expecting things from you, obviously, like, there is that buildup of resentment on one end or another of like, this relationship is now feeling a little different than it was before. So I think in just protecting that, it's boundaries, like big ones, and just charging something over nothing even, and just like having that be a respect factor for sure.
And not being picky. I think you started to allude to this as well in the beginning, with friends and family. Like, it's not necessarily the people you want to coach, but I really urge you not to use that as an excuse as a coach, because the thing is, like, in the beginning, you have to be willing to coach everyone. I actually disagree with there being a niche in the start, because you have to learn what you like and dislike. And over time, yes, once you've had 10 clients, I would argue that's a small sample size, but once you've coached enough people, you know what you like and don't like. But in the beginning, you have to be willing to coach everyone. Like for me,
I
go ahead.
I was just going to add a quick point on that too, which is you can't expect yourself to be even in the position to coach your dream client. Like, for example, let's say like a new coach in the space was like, well, I want to go coach coaches. It's like, but do you even know how to coach the baseline? Like, do you even know how to coach like someone through macros and all this stuff? Like, it's cool to romanticize the person you want to work with, like ex-athletes and all this stuff, but you kind of have to build up. It's almost like its own promotion that just naturally happens for you as you start working with people. And I think when you work with just anybody, it builds that reputability for you to be able to handle all these different scenarios and to almost earn working with the next level. And you're not going to be able to work with the next level without starting in those trenches in that tent that we talked about pitching and just like doing that at the get-go.
Yeah, for sure. When I was working on the app that I used to work on from like it was basically 2020 to 2021. That was where I technically got my start within coaching online. And I was kind of starting to try to build my business on the side as well. But I learned a lot of what I liked and didn't like about coaching because I had a huge sample size. I had the first challenge I did for 8 weeks, I had 489 clients.
That's
And I never forget that
insane.
number. I know that sounds, you're like, that's such a wild number to remember. I will just never forget seeing it. They like brought me in last minute, gave me all the overflow of the people. The lowest amount I had, and this was like considered a small roster, I think it was like 320 something. And that was my last challenge that I did with them right before my wedding. But I learned a lot. And so when I was first starting when I was kind of getting into my own business, because on the side I was coaching friends and family, like in my own business. But when I really started to ramp up my online coaching while I was still training in person in my garage as well, I was like, oh, I'm just going to take on all the people from that app because I know that's going to be easy. And what I learned really quickly was, holy shit, these are not the clients I actually want to be coaching because they're so used to this challenge mindset. And I will say that's what made me such a stronger coach. And it also is what I think really prepared me to coach coaches because now I can give feedback. I coached some of the wildest people during those challenges. And then also some, like, I wouldn't say a lot of them came over to me. I got a lot of great people from the challenges that were clients, but I learned a lot from that. And so that's like what I really encourage you to do in the start of your business is like coach the people that you like, almost just say yes to everyone. And I know that's like going against the grain of what most business coaches would say or most people would say in general, but I promise you, if you say yes to everyone from the start, obviously like over time you're going to gain boundaries. Say yes to everyone so that you can get a good idea of who you like coaching and don't like coaching, because you never know. You could say yes to someone who doesn't seem like an ideal client at all, and you accept them and you actually like, oh my gosh, I actually love coaching people like this. Sometimes the most challenging clients, when you can get through to them, are the most rewarding. And then,
Yeah,
so
100%. Yeah, I think just building that up, and once you work through the mindset stuff of it all, because it's all mindset, it's all just like your own objections, your own thoughts, and you just have to like be able to push through. Also, something I'll make a comparison to is the fact that you've likely worked in a job, or maybe you're currently in a job that you don't love, but
yeah.
you do it. Like you check in, you get your paycheck. It's kind of
Mhm.
the same with that starting baseline of working with clients, even if they're not your dream clients. Like, hey, I'm sorry, but if you've been in misery in your job for the last 15 years, like what is this discomfort to you really? Like it's
Right.
not going to be the dream scenario or that like, again, over glamorized output in the beginning that you want it to be, because you have to go through the unsexy parts, just like how your clients are going to go through unsexy phases of nutrition, and you have to coach them through that.
Yeah. And when you approach it with an open mindset, I promise you're going to come out so much better on the other side versus like, I'm sorry, but when you first start your business, you can't think you're too good for anyone.
Mm-mm.
Anybody at that point is like, it's data almost. You're just getting an idea of what you like and don't like. One of our coaches that was in the cohort and is now an ACA client, she's awesome. She has a client right now that every week, actually almost every day, has a question on them. And she's like, I'm sorry, I'm being so annoying. I'm like, you're not. Like, this is a challenging client. I give you props for taking this client on. But
Mm-hmm.
every week she's like, you know what? In the end, this is going to make me such a better coach because if I can coach her, I can coach anyone. And
Yep.
that is the mindset you have to have as a coach when you're first starting out. She's been a coach for like 7 months now. And she's crushing it. And that's because she goes like she had the mindset for this one client that like I'm not too good for her. I
Mhm.
will help her. And it's almost like you kind of take on a challenge in some clients. Now, obviously, that's also having boundaries. If a client has an eating disorder, having the boundary to say like, no, I can't help you, but let me find someone who can help you. So I'm not saying take on people who you literally shouldn't coach, but as long as you can legally coach them, take them on. Take it on as like
Yeah.
it's a fun challenge. And be open to different types of clients in the beginning, even if you maybe think you're too advanced for that or too good for that. You're not, I'm sorry, but like you're not too good for any client when you're first starting out.
Yeah. And that kind of leads into really like the last tip I have, because I know we've talked on like mindset, we've talked on taking on clients, like, and even social media, like just posting and getting stuff out there. But then I
Yeah.
think like the fourth pillar, if you will, of this is adopting a student mindset early on. Like you should always be a student and you should
Yeah.
always be learning. I talked about this in one of my pieces of content that I made for the cohort about how the fitness industry is probably the fastest evolving, changing industry
Yeah.
to be in. Like different than engineering, different than, I mean, maybe like doctors and nurses, they have stuff that they're going to be learning, but it's a lot of things
I
that
hope
they've been
so.
routine in for so long. But truly, when you look at the fitness industry, I mean, even the last 6 years, it has evolved, it has changed, there is new information, you have all the GLP-1 stuff now that as coaches you need to learn and you need to stay up with the times. And there's two places to obviously be focusing on. Like one is going to be eventually having a business mentor and working with someone on that realm, because I truly don't think I'd be where I am today had I not invested early on in a business coach. But also having the education piece and having that down and understanding how to coach. And obviously that's literally what Kelsey and I focused on, because we saw a huge gap in the industry for that. But I really think that the coaches who think that they know it all and the coaches who are like, I don't need a mentor in this, or I don't need to invest in another continuing ed and all that stuff, those are the coaches who don't end up lasting past that 5 to 6 year mark. Like the coaches similar to you that I was with 6 years ago in my first mentorship are not coaching, and they were not the people who were keeping up with their knowledge and their time. They only ever cared about keeping up with revenue goals. Like that was all they cared about. So I think care should be in two different places, and you should really focus on that sooner rather than later, and stop making the same excuses as your clients as to why you're not doing it too. If you
For sure.
want it, you'll do it. Like genuinely, I've seen people in the weirdest, worst of circumstances make it happen if they genuinely want it for themselves.
Yeah, it's so true. Like things are ever evolving and ever changing in the industry, and staying ahead is huge. And
Mhm.
it's not just things that, I mean, you can learn through a textbook. You could learn through just, it's not like you have to go and buy, I'll use myself for an example.
I already know what you're gonna say.
Last September, I invested, this is before we merged, obviously, I invested in a functional health certification. Now, given I have learned so much through it, I'm also stressing because I don't know if I have to finish by September or not. So I'm like, now that we're like done with our cohort push, I'm like, ah, shit, I gotta really grind through this. Like, I gotta like get into it. But I'm learning a ton. However, now we have a functional team on our team where I don't need the certification. So it is a pricey certification. I'm like so pumped to be done with it because then I can afford a new car payment.
Just for comparison.
this it's like double a car payment. Like it's insane. And given, like I said, I'm learning a lot, but like don't be quick to like just hop on the next fancy thing. Like you can
Yeah.
easily learn. Obviously, we're gonna plug what we have to offer, but like you can learn. I have so many textbooks. I literally have like my library of textbooks over here that I refer back to when I need to. I have a subscription to Mass, which is like a every month they released, I want to say like 12 to 18 new articles of research, and they break down the research article for you. I've learned so much through that and just reading research, but also the certifications that you take and like the continuing ed you take, I actually urge you to step away from the NASM additional things that they have available. Like, yes, getting a nutrition certification through them can be helpful. Doing the precision nutrition, we have it. I mean, it's helpful. A lot of our coaches have it as well, but some of the stuff when you step away from that, I'll use Beyond the Cert as an example. There's not a certification that's out there that's like that because I've done the research to look. It's taking all the information we've learned as coaches and actually learning how to apply it to coaching. We have a few coaches actually in our newest cohort that are just starting out as coaches, and they're actually decided to do Beyond the Cert as like a way to get into this. And Beyond the Cert is evergreen. We're not going to be launching another cohort until like March of next year. But if you want to just get the course, you could do it on your own self-pace, and you could join the cohort next year if you wanted to at like a discounted rate. So
Yep.
this wasn't necessarily a podcast to plug it, but like Chris is saying, I mean, I'm going to plug it anyway because it's fucking good. It's like that stuff is so helpful to know when you're just getting started, because you took your personal training cert, and to be completely honest with you, that's not teaching you how to coach clients to the capacity, especially online, that you need to. And that's what we help our ACA clients with. So Apex Coach Accelerator is you get access to Beyond the Cert for free. But you also get mentored by both Chris and I while you're getting your own fitness and nutrition coach all at the same time.
Yeah, it's a beast of a program, and we'll continue to find our way to explain it and talk about it with you guys as well. But I genuinely think that just if you're in the early stages of business and coaching, like the best thing you can do is simplify, start messy to a degree, and just truly stay coachable yourself. Like you don't know it all, even if you've had a great transformation yourself. Like you don't know how to coach people all because you've been able to lose 30 pounds. And that might be a harsh thing to say, but like it just is. Like coaching is knowledge, it's education. And we talked about that too. Like you don't have to run a High Rocks to coach a High Rocks, athlete. Granted, we're not coaching Olympic level athletes. Like that's its own different thing. I definitely think it's important to be investing in people in that realm, but it's knowledge, it's education. If you stop being coachable and you start letting your ego get to you, all because you're at a certain place in your life or your own fitness journey, the qualifications aren't enough at that point. Like the qualification of you and your own transformation is something that's great, but it's just not enough to stay afloat in the business if you do want to be in this industry for longer than 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, you never know everything. Like I'm still learning damn near every day. And it's fun. Like when you start to actually look at learning as like fun, you have a good time. So start to think of it like just change your mindset around it. It's not all serious. It can be a fun time. You can have fun coaching, you can have fun learning. I actually love learning. Fucking love learning. Like
Same.
help me learn more. I am here for it. You can always learn something new. And I think as you start to coach a wider variety of coaches, and you start to do more research, or not coaches, a wider variety of clients, it does put you in the position where you are having to learn and grow with them too, which is really fun.
Yeah, it is really fun. So it's scary as heck to start your business and to coach and to do all the things. But if you're genuinely sitting there like, I just don't know what to do, I don't know where to start. Like Kelsey and I have been through business mentorships. We've built our own business. Obviously, we've done all the things ourselves. So we are happy to be a resource to you guys, whether that is within our own program or genuinely based on what we hear from you, what we think is best. The coaching industry is actually really small at the end of the day when you start getting integrated into it. And I feel like it's one of those things where we all kind of know everyone. And it's a great industry to be in because you build these amazing connections and just resources for yourself. So I can't say it enough, like take the messy action and do it, but do lean on someone for support, especially if you're getting stuck in the weeds of action taking every single time.
Yeah. And if you're not ready to invest in support, we have free support in our free WhatsApp channel, WhatsApp chat. So I'll include that in the show notes. If you're not yet a part of our Coach Collective community, you can join that for like absolutely free support. There's a ton of coaches in there, not just Chris and I, that have all kinds of experience, and it's like a judgment-free zone, which is really cool. We're basically the Planet Fitness of like coach group chats and WhatsApp. So
we love it.
It's a really fun, supportive group. So definitely join in if you just want some more support in getting started. We've all been in our own little journey, our own individual journey, and we all have a different place we came from. So it's really cool to just be able to connect with other coaches in that sense too.
Yep, absolutely. One other thing that we will plug as well is our check-in bundle, because that really helps
Mhm.
lay out the starting point of like how to even like lay out your check-ins and your offer a little bit there of how to center that around clients and what's most appropriate. So on the topic of boundaries, our check-in bundle will really help with that, because a lot of times you don't know how to deliver this or how to deliver it with authority. So definitely check that out as well.
Yeah. Cool. All right,
Well,
guys. Well, thanks for listening.
we'll see
Best
you
of
guys
luck
next
in
time.
your journey. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye, friends.
Bye.